Today we are going to, first and foremost, we went ahead and open up Boss Sis Sunday because I want to be that sis in the circle to be able to bring everybody a lot of information in terms of different investment accounts and different different investment accounts, different types of ways for us to save and pretty much invest in our future. Okay. I'm going to talk first and foremost about index universal life policies, those IULs, those infinite bankings, call it what you will. They got a million different ways of explaining it, right? But what I'm going to bring to you guys today, outside of explaining the good, bad, and ugly about these type of policies, I'm also going to give you guys some alternatives in terms of saving for retirement, because we're all business owners, right? We don't have 401k plans that we can just go to our employer and get, right? So I'm going to give you guys some different ways and some better ways to be able to invest your money, okay? As we're out here growing these businesses, we just don't want to throw it all away. Right. So the very first thing I'm going to talk about is that index universal life policy. Now, towards the end, because I know you guys couldn't hear me at the beginning. So towards the end, I'm actually going to open it up for questions. So you guys are more than welcome to ask me any questions. You can pop it on in the Facebook chat. If you are here in Zoom, hey, in Zoom world, you are more than welcome to drop it in Zoom chat as well. So we're going to go ahead. Oh, one more thing. I got a surprise for one special person at the very end. So go ahead and make sure you guys are tapping in and you are ready to get these nuggets, okay? So first things first, index universal life policies, okay? Now, these are actual life insurance policies. They are marketed all over social media, all over TikTok, saying, hey, we can be our own bank. Well, guess what? There's no way for you to be your own bank if you're the only client or the only customer, right? Banks have multiple customers. So that's the very first thing. Second thing, these types of policies are being sold under the impression that it's a good investment, right? It's a good way to invest your money and let it grow. I'm going to get into the reasons why that's a bad idea, but I'm going to start here. In order to purchase one of these types of policies, you only have to go to a regular life insurance agent. Yeah, you heard me correctly. So that means you only need a life insurance license in order to sell this, not an investment license. Okay, so if you don't need an investment license to sell this type of policy, that's like going to your car mechanic and having him do open heart surgery on you. Would you let it happen? Probably not, because he's not a doctor, right? So don't be out here taking investment advice from anybody that does not have an investment license, okay? Make sure you are checking those credentials, people, okay? Your money is on the line, your future's on the line, and we want to build generational wealth for our families, okay? So next, we're going to break down this type of policy real quick, okay? So first things first, with a IUL, they have what they call accumulation value, okay? So this is pretty much just the amount of premiums or monthly payments that you're paying plus interest, less any money for deductions for charges, okay? So yes, they do charge you, okay? These type of policies come with a cash value, okay, which is your quote unquote savings, right? It also comes with interest. Yes, you got to pay that interest, okay? Yeah, your money may or may not be growing, but we're going to break that down a little bit more for you. And if for whatever reason you say, hey, you know what? I don't want this policy. Guess what? It comes with a surrender charge, okay? So they are going to charge you for the first 20 years of your policy and then give you whatever money you have saved up. That don't sound fair. If I've only had this policy for 2 years and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I want this policy anymore. Can I have my $1,500 back? No, they're going to still charge you for 20 years and then give you what's left. That does not sound like you are your own bank. If you are your own bank, you don't have to ask yourself for nothing. You don't have to worry about anybody taking your money because you're your own bank, right? That doesn't sound like you are your own bank. Now, they also market these types of policies stating that you are able to borrow against it. Now, that is true. I will give them that. They do allow you to borrow against your own policy. Now, The bad thing about that is, number one, you have to ask them. If you got to ask somebody else to borrow your own money, that don't sound like you are your own bank, okay? Number two, while your money is sitting in this savings account, right? It's only growing after the first 3 to 5 years. Yes, you heard me correctly. It's only growing at about 2%, maybe 3% if you get a company that wanna be a little expensive. Like they want to give you extra money, right? 2 to 3%. But when you actually borrow your own money, you have to pay that money back at 6 to 8% interest. Now, I don't know about y'all, but the math don't sound like it's mathing to me, okay? So you mean to tell me that my money can sit in this random savings account and I'm only growing at 2 to 3% interest, but if I touch it, I have to give it back to you and I got to pay more interest than I would get essentially if it just sits there. That don't sound like a good investment, okay? So number one, surrender charge. They're going to charge you regardless of if you want it or not, okay? And you got to pay extra interest, okay? Next, we're going to talk about the different charges, okay? So number one, they deduct about 5 to 8% depending on the company. They call these expense charges. These are monthly charges that they charge you, okay? Your money, like I said, grows at 2 to 3%. The cost of insurance, which is not the same of your actual policy. Yes, they do not tell you that. The cost of insurance changes every single year. As you can see in this policy, I've actually highlighted everything. If you guys can screenshot that, that'll be awesome for your own records. But to just kind of show you, the cost of insurance goes up. They only guarantee it for the first year. Okay. The reason for that is because guess what? It's going to go up next year. They don't know what it's going to go up to. Right. So that don't sound like your own bank. If you don't get to decide how much interest you're going to pay or when you're going to pay it, and you got to ask somebody else, that does not sound like you are your own bank. So yes, bad investment idea. Okay. And once again, you do have to borrow that money. Well, once you do borrow that money, you do have to pay it back at 8%, 6 to 8% interest. Okay. Bad investment. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about some companies have what we call accelerated death benefits, which is really just if you have a terminal illness like cancer or something like that, where there's no cure for it. So eventually you will die of this particular disease or illness or whatever. They do have these accelerated death benefits. Okay. Now, the way that those break down in this particular policy, the IULs, they give you half of whatever your balance is, right? So if you have, let's say $50,000 worth of life insurance, they're going to advance you they're going to advance you 50%. So that's 25,000, right? And they claim that it's at no cost. They say that there is an expense fee of $250. So they're going to charge you $250 just for pulling out your half, right? For numbers purposes, we are going to keep it at that 50,000 just because I like numbers. No, actually, we're going to take it to 25,000 because I like numbers, right? So early payment fee, which is what's listed here, they charge you half of that, half of your death benefit amount, which is your face value, which is how much life insurance you have. They charge you half of that just for having a terminal illness, essentially, right? So break down that 25,000, that's 12,500, right? Plus, as you can see, your net cash value, let's say, is 3,000 per this policy, right? So to me, that equals out $15,500, right? That's what you should get if your math is mathing, right? However, in this particular policy, as you guys can see, it says it takes $15,500, which is what it actually is, minus $250 for even touching the money. And then they charge you another $837 for your early payment fee. So you would essentially technically get $13,413. However, if you guys can read this policy, they're only, if for whatever reason, this accelerated death benefit is to be paid out, they're only going to give people $10,413. So that's $3,000 out there hanging around. I'm gonna show you where it went in a second, okay? But long story short, this math is not mathing, okay? So this does not sound like a good investment, okay? Now, where did that money go, Kia? Guess what? Number one, they say that this is a permanent life insurance policy. It is not, unless you pay more, which they usually do not tell you that. Now, if you're more than welcome to pay more every year, then yeah, it is permanent, right? But we're gonna first break it down. I'm only going to look at the guaranteed numbers because no point in looking at non-guaranteed because, hey, I want to know where my money going to come and when it's going to come, right? And how much it's going to be. So the guaranteed numbers, as you can see, the first 3 years, you don't even have any cash value. So what does that tell you? If you were to go to a bank and put in, let's say $100 every month for 12 months. And at month number 13, you're expecting to have $1,200 in that bank account. And they tell you, hey, you don't got no money. You're going to be mad. I know you're going to be mad. If you anything like me, you definitely going to be mad, right? But let's say you're the nice one and you're like, okay, I don't have any money. I'm going to keep putting in my $100. You're putting in $100 for a whole nother year. So now you're at year number 2. That should be $2,400 in your account. And you go to that bank and you're like, hey, can I get $100? They're like, no, you don't got no money. Oh, yeah, now we getting real spicy, right? But even if you choose, you know what, I'm gonna keep paying it. Now we're at $3,600 that you would have put in this bank account. And at the end of year 3, they still tell you, you don't got no money left. You ain't got no money in your account. Then at year 4, still putting that same $100 in there, right? Now you only got $258. But wait, you're supposed to have $4,800, right? Even if you use your regular checking account or your regular savings account, you're putting $100 in every month for 4 years, you should have $4,800, not $258. So tell me where that is a good investment. Please tell me, because I don't know about y'all calculator, but my calculator say that's a bad idea. Okay, and then the biggest flag on the play, okay? They tell you, like I said before, that these are permanent policies. They are not, okay? This policy clearly states premiums may need to be increased or continued beyond the number of years shown to keep this policy in force and equal to values and benefits illustrated. So that means you literally have to keep paying extra every single month just to get at best $10,000. That don't sound like a good investment, y'all. Okay. So because I did promise you all that we were going to talk about what we should be doing with our money. Okay. I'm gonna go just back to me and y'all, right? Me and bosses. Okay. So what we should be doing with our money is, number one, not putting it in these type of policies, okay? You do not want, first of all, life insurance and investment should be separate. Number one reason for that is if you keep your life insurance and your savings together, you're paying for 2 things, but you're only gonna get one of them, okay? I don't care what company you are with, read your policy, okay? And it will state that, number one, if you have a savings portion to your life insurance, if you live, you'll get the savings. Yay. If it's still there, right? But if you die, your family's not going to get the savings. They're only going to get the life insurance. So if you live, you don't get life insurance because you're still alive and you'll get your savings. But if you die, your family's only get the savings. I mean, they're only going to get the life insurance. They're not going to get your savings. So guess what happens to that money? If there is any, they're just going to keep it. Sounds like a bad investment. Whereas if you keep them separate, regardless of if you live or die, you'll still get both. Okay, so these are just a few different options that I want to talk to you guys about. Number one, we all should have IRAs. Okay, if you are not familiar with IRAs, simply put, it's a retirement account. Okay, it's an individual retirement account. Now, there are a couple different retirement accounts types. The first is traditional. That's the ones that we normally see at employers, outside of our 401ks. The traditional IRA is pretty much an individual account. Your annual contributions will be lower than your income tax for, whatever that tax year is. But when you withdraw that money out of that IRA, that money will be subject to taxes. Okay. So traditional, if we don't have any other option outside of 401k, traditionals are still good because, hey, we still got retirement, right? However, if you have other options, you always want to seek and make sure that those other options are good for your financial situation. Okay. Roths, I normally push for Roths. The reason why I push for a Roth, the reason why I push for a Roth is because number one, it's still an individual account. It is tax-free money though. Okay. So your money goes in and you can pull it out when it's time to retire, and you don't have to worry about Uncle Sam dipping his fingers in there. Like we give the government enough money throughout our life that we should be able to retire and not have to worry about paying taxes. Just my own personal opinion. Okay. So a Roth IRA is that tax-free money. You can withdraw for many different reasons outside of retirement, but retirement is usually the biggest one. Okay. Your annual contributions are not deductible. So they're not tax deductible. Okay. But you won't owe taxes. So that's good, right? And you won't owe taxes on any investment earnings. So your money can grow. Okay. Which means at whatever percentage, as you're getting that interest, you don't have to worry about taxes. Okay. The next option is an SEP, or the self-employed pension plan. Okay. And this one actually allows for you to maximize your annual contributions almost 10 times, the permitted traditional amounts. So with your Roth and your traditional IRAs, there are of course, there are income limits for all of them, but it's actually annual limits on how much you can put in, which as of April 18th, it will be $6,500. Okay, annually, $6,500 every year. Now, if you're anything like me and you make over 100,000 or over 200,000, then guess what? That 6,500 ain't enough for you. You need to put up some more money. So a SEP is the best way to do that. You still get the same benefits, but you're able to put up a lot more money for your retirement. Okay. And then the fourth option is a simple plan. That's just a savings incentive match plan. Okay. For, self-employed pretty much. And this one is just pretty much for any companies. It's pretty much you starting your own 401k for your own business. Okay. Now, this one is pretty much for companies that have less than 100 employees, which I'm going to assume is most of us here, okay, in the community. So with that being stated, next week, or next month, shall I say, next month, we are going to dig into each one of these individually, okay? So over the next coming months, we're going to talk about traditional IRAs, we'll talk about Roth IRAs, SEPs, and simple plans, okay? And then a much, much more, okay? So definitely stay tuned. Make sure you guys are tapping into these Securities Sundays every month. If you guys also have anything in particular that you want to talk about, just let me know. Inbox me. I'm probably the coolest person, or at least I like to think I am the coolest person that you're going to meet. So please feel free to go ahead and inbox me. I do not mind.